our topic for our persuasion campaign is sexual harassment on social media. Sexual harassment is any form of unwanted or unwelcome sexual behavior that makes a person feel humiliated, offended, and intimidated. It can be both physical or verbal and can be committed by anyone and anywhere, but the advancement in technology introduces a form of online sexual harassment. Social media has allowed the harasser to remain anonymous, thus it is harder for the victim to take actions against it. The effect of social media by sexual harassment by social media on victims is as followed: reduced performance and productivity, drugs and alcohol abuse, developmental eating disorders, self-blame in female victims, decline in physical and mental health, such as nausea, sleeplessness, depression, and many more. Next slide, please. The aim in this campaign, we conducted a survey, and the aim of the survey is to understand the extent of sexual harassment within Chulalongkorn University students. The content of the survey is sexual harassment on social media platforms. The target group is undergraduate students at Chulalongkorn University. The results of the survey, we got 98 responses, 75 females, 15 males, and 8 listed as other genders. 100% of the responses agreed that sexual harassment does occur on social media. 25.5% of responses have experienced sexual harassment themselves. 43.9% answered that they would ignore sexual harassment in public posts. When asked their response towards such comments directed towards them in private, majority said that they would either block, report, or take criminal actions.
Sexual harassment case of Chulalongkorn University, Faculty of Law, the inspiration behind our campaign. Overview of the case started as a casual line group chat between male Chulalongkorn University law students, later turned into a chat where male students rate sexiness of female student based on their profile pictures. These disturbing comments ensue within the group chat. For example, one male student wrote, "I want to take a part-time job wear a student uniform shop, so I can measure the woman's student body sizes." The targeted women were not only from the Faculty of Law, but also the Faculty of Arts, Communication Arts, and Business Administration. The Thai law regarding sexual harassment, vague definition of what's considered sexual harassment, does not cover central, provincial, or local administration or state enterprises. Analysis of the case, we can see that sexual harassment does not only occur within the undereducated population, but also within the educated. The law students are well versed with the legal consequences of sexual harassment, yet they still participated in such acts, which makes us wonder why we attempt to understand this by applying the theories in social psychology.
Coming to the social psychology theories, we talk about conformity first. Conformity is a social influence where someone makes adjustments to their own belief in order to fit into the standard of a group. Our target group is in the development period where friends have an impactful influence and is still uncertain about their social identity, therefore are more likely to be peer pressured into conformity. Next is de-individualization. This is when someone loses their self-awareness and their individual identity after identification with the group's behavior. This increases the tendency of being involved in harmful behaviors. Next is diffusion of responsibility. This is when someone is within a group with several bystanders. Thus, their personal responsibility to help is being declined. This could explain why the Chula Law students group failed to report the sexual harassment to the administrators. Correlating this with our survey, this supports our theory because in our survey, 43.9% of our responses showed that most people would ignore sexual harassment in public posts. Lastly, groupthink. This forces one to seek agreement within a group in order to maintain a relationship with one another. Hence, we are less inclined to focus on morality, which leads to behaviors such as sexual harassment to persist.
Moving on, in order to change the behavior, it is important that we look into the attitude. And so while looking into the attitude that the target holds towards this subject called sexual harassment, we come to see that their reasons are quite similar to the ones that have been discussed by Sim. Thus, the focus on the involvement of others plays a very crucial role in their attitude towards such acts. Hence, the campaign video focuses on changing this attitude to make students realize the importance of actions of self. Moving on, this is achieved by taking the central route, which is basically a persuasion technique that requires controlled thinking and high effortful cognition. And just as we know, the topic is of high relevance. Furthermore, it is the most preferable as it enforces a long-lasting effect in attitude change, and it also helps us to fight against counterattacks. And hence, this is the ideal route for this influential campaign. And this is achieved by looking into several aspects of the attitude component. At the same time, we also use personal relevance and sources such as high credibility and also low credibility. And finally, we look into the reactance theory.
So for affective components, we will be looking at previous cases of sexual harassment in social media, just as the Juฬa Law students case and the Dali High School boys case, which will be applied in the video to evoke empathy, anger, and alter emotions. For cognition components, we're looking at facts from survey and researches from both high and low credible sources. So in terms of cognition components, we're focusing on two main aspects. The first one is high credibility, which will be based on the result from survey and research of recognized organizations such as the UNs. These surveys usually involve general publics, so usually it's low personal relevance for our target audience, which is Juฬa undergraduate students. They have nothing related to Juฬa undergraduate student at all. And for the low credibilities, it will be based on our survey conducted by Juฬa undergraduate students. This survey would then have high personal relevance since the results are based on a survey but still involve students of Juฬa University. This would then mean that our target audience would pay more attention, thus in combination with the high quality source would lead to higher impact of attitudes.
Another theory we took into consideration when constructing our persuasion campaign is the reactance theory. This is basically when people feel like their freedom to perform certain behavior is being threatened, and it will create a boomerang effect, making people more likely to go against the desired behavior than following it. Therefore, the video will end with using the element of the self by requesting and not demanding them to stand up for others and themselves. However, this is not to say that the Juฬa undergraduate students are interested in involving in sexual harassment behaviors, but to show that given the age group of our target group and the possibility that some are still adjusting to the university life, we have to be careful with how we approach bringing a change. Finally, the video will conclude with ways in which one can contribute to the fight against sexual harassment. So in conclusion, we hope that the campaign will bring a change in attitude to Juฬa undergraduate students towards sexual harassment on social media, which will be seen in their behaviors towards such acts. Additionally, we also hope to highlight the importance of continuing to fight against sexual harassment and other such social issues.
So here are our reference. Thank you.